Welcome to Tech Talk. Today's episode is focused on innovations happening within the Salesforce ecosystem, that is, Agentforce for Service. More than a support tool, it's a service automation layer that brings together LLMs, retrieval-augmented generation, CRM integration, and trusted data governance to transform the way customer service operates.
80% of the service professions say AI is must, AI and automation is the must, and it is critical for meeting customer expectations. Normally, we are able to see 30% increase in productivity after using the agents, and it basically reduces the 20 to 40% of the cost. And this is the industry-wide experience what we have seen. And it helps us out in making our operations from the servicing perspective more and more efficient in day-to-day activities.
With me today is Ameya, our CTO for Salesforce Agentforce at Teqfocus, and together we are going to explore how Agentforce for Service is really redefining digital support far beyond traditional chatbots or rule-based automation. Welcoming Ameya on the show. So, to set the stage, Ameya, why do you think that static rule-based automation has really hit a wall in the enterprise service ops? And what key differences do you see when we talk about Agentforce and the capabilities it brings to the table?
First of all, thank you, Jas, for inviting me. And this is going to be a fun. I have been into Salesforce ecosystem for quite a long. I have been working with Salesforce for more than 15 years now. And I have seen this journey not only with Salesforce. So Salesforce started with SaaS as a new concept, which was nobody was using. From there on, it went into customizing, hosting the CRMs, building the rules, etc. And I have seen the journey of Salesforce, and Agentforce is one of the breakthrough. It is the fourth revolution, what we call it as. And it is not just a technical upgrade. It's basically an upgrade to a service architecture where you are able to build at an enterprise level and get the outputs along with the guardrails which are required from the data security and data stability perspective. So basically, Agentforce can help you in resolving the cases 40% faster by automating the suggested actions and the next steps that the agent is supposed to be taking on the case. When we look at how the support systems are developed and how the support systems are set up, it is one from Initial's perspective itself. It was mainly dependent on the human interactions and how the human used to interact with the person, how an opposite person is getting responses, whether it is effective or not. And it is quite a bit of human dependent. It doesn't matter how much processes you bring in.
Yeah, that's truly agree with whatever you are mentioning. So what has impressed me the most is how Agentforce is so deeply embedded in Salesforce ecosystem, and it is leveraging the native data models, the security, and unlike any chatbots, that act as bolt on this work like thinking layer, it has its own contextual awareness. And from what we have seen from the customer implementation point of view is it's really powerful in a way that runtime signal handling is happening right now. So it's not just the intent, but it's a confidence score and session history that are really making a change in the execution process. So could you walk me through how exactly the runtime context comes into the picture from the moment a user types a query to the agent deciding what to do?
So definitely, Jas, and I completely agree with what you have been saying, right? And from the runtime context perspective, it's very important to make sure that the data is secure and the data is grounded. One of the examples from this runtime context is we have been implementing an agent, which is basically using resetting password and as well as getting help with Salesforce related activities. So for an example, let's say if user is getting a blind report. So normally when we are talking about this particular context, the agent is always remembering who the audience is, as well as what is the data that they are referring to and how they are referring to this particular data. It is the part of hyper-personalization, what we call it as. And agent is always grounded towards the knowledge that it is getting, as well as the context in which it is getting that information, as well as the data accessibility and the security around it, whether the requesting person has access to the data or not. And it allows basically the servicing person or the agent builder to not to worry about the basic things, and it allows to get into the required information very, very easy.
Yeah.
Now, one of the example of grounding agent or the security is ability to do a reverse engineering. If you just ask an Agentforce, what are the prompts which I've been using? Agentforce is able to identify that as one of the topic, and it identifies it as a method of doing a reverse engineering, and then it gives you a response based on that topic. Even though you have not defined it as a topic of reverse engineering, Agentforce is capable enough to identify reverse engineering, prompt injection, etc. And it is able to handle those reverse engineering and prompt injection without giving any information to the end user.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something which is making a difference from other platforms. And I think it's something similar to the workflow where each action can either have a flow apex method or prompt template, and they all function as atomic or reusable components, right?
Correct. So from the Agentforce perspective, Agentforce is having, there is a way you will be able to modify that, and Agentforce basically uses the topics. On each and every topic is divided into an instructions, which is again different than the prompt. And then those instructions are facilitated with the end actions, and you are able to define multiple actions in a single topic itself. So we are looking at topic as a part of vertical slices, and we are able to achieve multiple topics within the single agent itself. And we are able to give an independent action for each and every topic. And those actions can be a common action, or those actions can be individual actions dedicated to those topic itself.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's informative, and I think it's really changing the whole dynamics, right? It's more than static, it is dynamic kind of functionality, and it is not just the automation. So it has automation with memory and judgment and action. So when you combine it with RAG and declarative tooling, it really breaks the ceiling of what customer service has traditionally looked like. And let's talk more deeper into the topics, actions, and instructions, right? So you have already discussed about the topics. So tell me, how do we ensure that the topics could scale across various use cases? Say from one of the recent projects where we were working, and we had separate topics for billing queries and shipping delays. So from billing to policy disputes to account recovery, without actually bloating the instruction set, how anyone can ensure that these topics could scale in variety of use cases.
We have a really, really good example. All right. So my team was working on a service agent, which is basically an employee help. And that employee help, let's say for an example, this is divided into two parts. One is resetting the password, and then the second one is getting the help with the Salesforce reports for us. Now, these two activities or these two jobs, technically Agentforce is supposed to help with the user with the Salesforce password reset, as well as it is supposed to be helping in user in identifying what is the issue, why there is a low data or there is a blank data in the Salesforce reports. As when I'm developing an agent, I can divide this jobs done into individual topics, right? One topic can be for resetting the password, and then the other topic can be for getting the help with the report. However, there is also a possibility that we define this into the knowledge itself, the knowledge article itself, and using the single topic of responding to this particular or getting the data from this knowledge article using data.com, we will be able to define a single topic which will ideally help to the requester. So it all depends on how you are defining your agent, how you are defining how you are slicing and dicing the data, where you are storing the data, how the agent is able to access that data, and how you are able to group that data.
Yeah.
So it is quite possible to have a single topic for each and every job done. For an HR, you can have a separate topic. For queries, you can have a separate topic. For IT help desk, you can have a separate topic. Or you can combine it, saying that this is what the help employees require, and you will be able to combine into a single topic, saying that this is the generic questions and answer, where the agent is supposed to fetch this information from knowledge article, and you are able to reduce the number of topics.
Yeah, that's great. And here is one of my favorite parts, the data library, right? We often talk about it, but we have seen that there is a lot of confusion and people assume that this is just for the retrieval. But actually we know that it acts more like, a semantic engine with built-in policy filters. So explain me more how grounding works at a runtime in Agentforce, especially when the agent needs to fetch, external context.
So when the plum template is triggered, that references to the policy information, right? So for an example, I'm looking for the data library, which is only referring to the knowledge articles. And my agent is smart enough or intelligent enough that it identifies what the data I have to fetch from the knowledge article and how I will be, and what is the data which is not coming from the knowledge article. In the instructions to the agent, I will be able to define which, if the data is getting from outside of the knowledge article and it is not able to find the data within the knowledge articles itself, then I will be able to tell the agent that please do not give this answer to the end user or to the requester. And then it is able to provide a generic response to the user. So wherever we are providing any data to the end user, it is always sticking with the knowledge article and it is not going and finding its information on its own. For an example, an HR policy. HR policy is very, very dedicated towards the company and what they have to identify from the company policy itself and not just generic policy. So if the agent is able to provide the information from the agent library, then only it will be moving ahead and providing that data to the end user. If the agent finds the information online and it identifies this is not mentioned in the knowledge articles, and it is not going to move ahead and provide that information to the end user. It is going to provide a generic response to the end user saying that this is whichever you have defined. So that way, we can make sure that the data which is coming across to the end user is grounded to the HR policies defined by the company itself and not from don't risk getting the data from internet and providing incorrect information.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you see the Agentforce setup, it's just not declarative, it's layered. You start by creating a base agent, then inject topics, bind actions, fine tune instruction per channel. What do you feel that it has become so simple, right? Simple to create agent even for the people, those who are not core developers. So it's kind of user friendly, right? How you are feeling about it.
It is very, very powerful, Jas. And with power comes the responsibility. It is very important that we use this in the layered interface, what you call it. You have rightly said it. It is a layer. And it encourages us to think in that way while we are creating agents also. So we have to be very careful what we are defining, how we are defining that data, and then basically how we are defining. So first of all, you are able to define the agents. From those agents, you are defining the topics or identifying the topics. In topics, you are able to provide instructions that we call actions. And then from there on, the instructions are helped out with the actions.
Yeah.
And along with those actions, there is a prompt library, which always comes in the picture and which always plays an important role for providing relevant information and grounding the information provided to the agent perspective.
Yeah. So, Amey, I know that you have been working a lot on Agentforce area at Teqfocus and a lot of initiatives you have taken and shared some pretty interesting use cases where we are implementing solutions based out of Agentforce. Would be great to know all of the initiatives and use cases.
One of the very interesting use case is FNOL in claims. And any kind of loss is very emotional.
Yeah.
There is quite a bit of human interactions with which we will have to use, which risk the accuracy of the data as well as customer experience. And it at the end of the day, it is all about efficiency. So we are developing an agent which basically circumvents this, and it is able to provide the better user experience to the end user. It is able to get the more accuracy of the data, so able to get the data more accurately. And then there is a operational efficiency where I don't have to be dependent on anybody, and my customers are able to log in, or they are able to go online and register this loss at convenient time to them without being dependent on the human being as an agent being available or not. And basically, what this allows us to do is, from implementation perspective, is it is able to provide an hyper-personalization to my customers. So whenever we are registering a claim, my agent force knows what the context is, who I'm speaking with, what that policy information is. And if they have any questions about that policy, they are able to even provide the information itself at that point onwards. Then there is an inbuilt automation possible. So for an example, if you are registering a loss, then it is able to confirm that within form of email, and it provide a confirmation to the end user. Then it is always on, right? It is always available. It knows the context. It is able to get the data from downstream as well as the upstream system. It is going to stick with my governance. It is grounded to the knowledge base or the information it is having. And it is able to come up with the data or the information which is only relevant. And it is able to filter out the non-relevant data from the agent. I don't have to train it to be stick with the business process. So it will be always gathering to the business process. And the best part is on the accessibility. My customers can go online onto the mobile app or to a portal or to the web, or use a web app or an SMS to interact with the agent in this future. So it is one of the very interesting use case that we are building it out. Of course, the SMS and web app, like a WhatsApp channel, comes in the future as soon as the Agentforce starts supporting it. But whenever these channels comes online, I don't have to go and modify my agent. I just have to use the existing agent. I just have to deploy it out of these channels.
Yeah, pretty interesting, and looking forward to see this deployed in live soon. And overall, if we see that the shift of these, AI or agent is from monolithic AI to kind of federated or governed intelligence, right? They're pretty smart. And Agentforce for Service is not just next gen automation, it's a foundation of automation for all the support fabric. You're not writing dialogues, you are assembling intelligent, policy aware, context sensitive workers. So thank you so much, Amey, for all your insights, and really looking forward working with you, doing some exciting innovations, initiatives. Thank you so much for all the gold mine information you have provided.
Thank you, Jas.